What do you think? Are you a psychological expert?
I'd like to think so. Probably not.
All right.
Probably not.
We'll talk about why we say that in just a minute. But today we're going to talk about narcissists. I get a lot of calls throughout the day where people are saying, it's typically the women that say this, but they say, hey, my husband's a cheater, always has been. He's a narcissist. Okay. I know there's a clinical definition of it. We're going to talk about it today. But I always think sometimes, I'm like, just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean they're a narcissist, right?
Yeah. It's a
you see it on social media. It's a common word now. Like, they'll just see somebody make a comment on TV and they're like, oh, he's a narcissist. Really?
Well, 10 years ago, everybody was bipolar.
No, now they're narcissists, right? So what is going to be in 10 years from now?
I don't know.
Let's see here's what the dictionary says it is. A narcissist is someone who, with a personality characterized by an inflated sense of self-importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, troubled relationships, and a lack of empathy for others. Okay. What I've seen in narcissists in these cases we work with, the divorce cases, is a narcissist is somebody, they may be doing the wrong thing, but they make the other person feel like they're crazy for thinking that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, okay. There's a term for that. Clinically, it's called DARVO. And that stands for deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. So if I were to say, Mackie just hit me, and you could deny it and say, she hit me, and then you reverse. So you're the victim now, and I'm the offender. And we see that a lot. It's
like a reverse Uno card.
So exactly.
So we call it out here in the country gaslighting.
Yeah.
The same thing.
That's okay. It.
We see that a lot I've seen them do it, and I'll take it all the way to the stand where we got video of them coming out of a hotel with a woman, and they'll under oath to say that wasn't me. Really? Okay. Somebody stole your car because you're getting in the car with your tags on it. Right. So, and they'll call them out on the judge about, hey man, you're lying, and you can get trouble for that. You can get 72 hours in jail, all those things. Now, in the clinical sense, what do you think a narcissist is?
I agree with that definition to an extent. But I think that people get hung up on the arrogance and grandiosity when that is actually a coping mechanism, because narcissists are emotionally stunted. They're about 2 or 3. They're grown-up toddlers. They have very, very fragile egos. They are, these people have the lowest self-esteem you could imagine. So the grandiosity is just a protection for that fragile ego. So it's really that they think so little of themselves, not so much.
So everything's fake that you see on the outside.
Right.
Can it be cured?
I think technically I've heard that narcissism, like narcissistic personality disorder, would actually be the easiest personality disorder to cure, but they don't see a problem. They don't think that they need to be cured. So that's why it is actually nearly impossible.
Everybody else is the problem, right?
Everybody else.
Now, with psychological disorders, are they ever really cured or just controlled?
I think that some of them, our DSM changes so much.
Say that again. What was it?
The Diagnostic Statistical Manual. We're on 5 now. And, there's been talk like borderline. There's been talk to get rid of that diagnosis because they're saying that it could just be trauma. And so in that case, if it's just trauma, absolutely, you can cure it. It's all symptomology. A lot of
change the way people think, right? That's what you're doing. So change their thoughts and behaviors. All right. Back to the social media, though, you see, I've seen people talk about the trauma from a narcissist. They've been living with one for 20 years, and they finally leave them and get divorced or separated, whatever their relationship was. And they say it was so difficult to leave that person.
Yes.
Why is it?
It's a trauma bond.
Trauma bond. Tell me about trauma bond. I've heard that before too.
It's basically Stockholm syndrome. I mean, really, you live with someone for so long, and the gaslighting and the DARVO, that someone who is not narcissistic will they will internalize that and believe that they are the problem. Okay. They will believe, the reason that he acts or she acts the way that they do is because of me. And so why would they leave? The person's not the problem. They are.
Right. We see it a lot with the women. They are in bad relationships and they think that they're messed up when it's actually the other person's messed up. They just have told them over and over again, hey, you're a bad person.
Right.
You're never going to amount to anything, all those things.
Yeah. And I want to know if you've noticed this, like there have been several cases where, say a woman, the last child graduates, moves out of the house, goes to college, right? Mm-hmm. And she files for divorce abruptly. Mm-hmm. And maybe she's asked him to go to therapy for 20 years. She's also, disclaimer, never go to therapy with a narcissist. Worst thing you can do.
Right.
Don't ever do that.
Mm-hmm.
But say she's been trying to get help for their marriage for 20, 30 years. And then as soon as the last kid's out, she leaves and he goes, she must be cheating on me.
Mm-hmm.
There must be another man.
Right.
So they hire a PI.
Yeah.
And there's nothing there.
Right.
But then it's the PIs just can't find it.
PIs
They're
no
in
good.
on it. She paid them off.
I've heard that before.
You know what I mean? So there's no convincing at that point.
Right. Now, narcissists they have issues when they're trying to raise children too, right? Mm-hmm. We see it when we get into custody issues. And when they got custody of the child, they may go out, they may drop the kids off with mama on them. Mm-hmm. You know who mama on them is, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're from Alabama.
Yeah.
But they drop them off with the grandparents and they're out drinking, doing dope, whatever, partying it up. And they never see the kids. They're weak. They just over at the grandparents. But they think that's okay. Right. They say it's okay. That's just how I am. You got to deal with it. Mm-hmm. I've seen it go to the courts before, and they're like, no, that's not how we deal with it.
Right.
Because you're supposed to be with your kids. But they don't see a problem with that.
They don't.
No.
That or they alienate the children.
Mm-hmm.
They become the fun parent.
Mm-hmm.
And they completely alienate the children through, and this is usually covert, the way that they may not say, hey, your mom's a bad person. Your mom hates your mom. It's more covert than that. It'll be subtle, nonverbal language. The child may say something positive about an interaction they had at the mother's house, and the dad may or just withhold affection. And that sends a very subtle signal to this child that I said something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's so hard to prove the parental alienation. But that, and then, dropping them off at, mama and them's house and doing whatever.
Yep. Hanging out with their boyfriend and girlfriend.
Most of the time kids love that because there's freedom. They don't have rules.
Right.
So is a toxic parent not more fun because there's no structure?
Right. Yeah, that's right. Now, in an alcoholic parent, because they're not supervising you, they're more worried about that drink or drugs or whatever they're on.
I could be on my phone all night.
You can be on your phone, stay up all night, play Xbox, whatever. There's got to be some boundaries there, or you're not going to be a productive child, right? You're not going to learn anything. You'll be sleepy all the time, and you're learning. Hey, this is how adults act. I'm going to be the same way when I get big. I'm going to be a drunk. I'm going to treat women this way, or men. You name it. Right. But I got a question here. Do you think there have been an increase in narcissists, or is it that our attention has been drawn to the diagnosis?
I think we're just learning more about it.
Right.
I don't think there's an increase. Maybe there is. There's, I followed Dr. Ramani Devarsala. She has kind of dedicated her life to studying narcissism. And the latest data is, I think, 1 in 6 people would meet the criteria for an NPD diagnosis. That's insane.
1 in 6.
1 in 6. And then 1 in 4 have enough traits to have issues in relationships. But if you get into certain pockets, places like she references Los Angeles, for instance, it can go up to 1 in 2.
Really? Half the population.
But you're thinking, think about that kind of job and what you would need. And then certain, workforces like law enforcement, there's a much higher prevalence in areas like that.
I wonder why with law enforcement.
I think that drawn to the power.
Okay. They can do no wrong kind of thing.
Right.
They got a badge. So
I don't know how long that they last though.
Okay. You don't think they last long in the profession?
I don't think so.
They get in trouble or whatever. So it comes back to home them, right?
Unless they're in Massachusetts.
Unless you're in Norfolk County. Yeah. You can do whatever you want there.
Right.
You can do whatever you want in Norfolk County. If you folks from Massachusetts chime in and let us know about it. But it's an interesting topic. We could go on for a while about it, but we see it a lot in our profession with people that have a hard time leaving a narcissist because they've been gaslighted their whole life for 20 years, most of their adult life. and they just have a hard time leaving because you said it,
Yeah.
trauma bond, right?
And I do want to say this, narcissists, they are attracted to people who are not weak. They are attracted to strong people. They are attracted to competent people. They're attracted to attractive people because it's all about making them look good.
Right. Outward appearance.
Yes. So people that end up in these situations, a lot of times they're told, you know, they have a low self-esteem and they're told that they're not good enough. But there's a reason why that person chose you, because they thought that you elevated.
Right.
You know.
Okay. All right. That's all we got for this episode. We'll be back with another topic soon. All right. Bye, Samantha.
Bye.